Come and join me on my Monday morning ride and chat. It's Monday morning in Toronto, holiday Monday. I do more chatting than I do riding, but in this video I want to discuss, or I did discuss, the ever increasing volatile rhetoric coming from the left with regards to anything that has to do with conservatism, anything that has to do with Donald Trump, Pierre Poilievre, anything that has to do with, in my estimation, common sense. And the volatile nature of the messages that are being put forth all through social media is getting very alarming. And anyhow, I get into detail in that with regards to that in my video, but I also want to discuss about how my comments are being deleted in my videos. In my comment section, people's videos are being deleted, and it's being reported to me from my regular viewers. Morning, how are you? And even to the point where, I'm not going to say who the person was, they let me know that they were reported. Their comments were reported, and this person's comments are not even remotely incendiary, or I don't know. I don't even know what it is, but they know who reported them. Having said that, obviously my channel is going to be flagged for liberal bots, for communist propagandists, maybe even goes back to the Chinese Communist Party in China. They probably have people watching my channel. So I'm not telling anyone to be careful with what they say on my channel, because I would say 99.9% of the comments on my channel I wouldn't consider inflammatory. I wouldn't even consider even remotely close to breaking the law. But that's the thing with Bill C-9 and who's going to be determining what the law is. We know that it's going to be people that are unhinged left-wing lunatics, because that's who the government employs. And so I know that running one of these channels, the potential for someone coming after me is real, but I try to stay within with what I think is the legal constraints of what I can say on my channel. But it's like I said, it's not up to me to make that determination. It's going to be people that are put in that position, or in those positions, to not be so honest when they are reporting people like me, and apparently people that are making comments. And I'm telling you, it's been about a dozen people now have been saying their comments have been deleted, and I've said in my videos too that that's what is going on. So just be aware of that. So stick around if you want to watch the video. Sorry, the introduction was a little long. It's holiday Monday morning in Toronto. Just fed the dog and just had a little interaction with a white liberal Karen walking her dog, and very little, but it's going to lead me into what I wanted to talk about today anyways. And just so happens that this lady set it off. She has her dog, and I'm sitting on a little bench there just looking at my emails, and she has her dog jumping up on these rocks in front of me. So I said, that's a smart dog. And she just looks at me, gives me a dirty look, and keeps walking. Now, that is not so uncommon, to be quite honest with you. That happens to me weekly if I try to engage in dialogue with predominantly, well, almost exclusively white liberal Karens. And what I wanted to talk about today focuses on them, and the amount of vitriol and the amount of disdain and hatred that they possess, a lot of them. And if you follow this sort of content and you watch any sort of social media with any sort of regularity, you will see the pattern is getting more hostile. It's increasingly becoming more belligerent. And you know, almost if you, like myself, I have to, well, I don't have to, but I do watch a lot of social media to stay current, to stay up to date. But it is becoming increasingly more taxing to do so on the psyche. And it's not just the white liberal Karen woman. It's also the white liberal Karen man. And I noticed there's a couple influencers down in the United States. I believe the one guy, I don't even know his name. He's down in the in New York City, I believe, or New York State for sure. Wears the big Rosie O'Donnell black frame glasses, the usual liberal glasses, and he, for lack of a better expression, he's inciting violence. He's inciting hatred. And of course, nothing's going to be done because he's on the left, and he gets a cavalcade of leftists that come onto his social media and support him. Now, whether it's real people, whether it's bots, I don't know. But the level of support that these people have is alarming. And, you know, obviously, if you watch my content, I'm right-leaning. Now, like Elon Musk, love him or hate him, he says he's not right or left. He's just with the sane people, the people that are in the right, and, you know, people that understand what common sense really is. And that's where I'm at. I'm not part of any affiliate. I'm not affiliated with any groups. I'm not a part of any sort of white nationalist group, anything like that. I'm on my own, and I've said that before in my videos. But I do at times use foul language when I'm explaining Mark Carney, Justin Trudeau, and people in the Liberal Party of Canada. But I don't go on a daily tirade yelling and screaming into my camera trying to build some sort of hate network that is going to start you know, a like-minded movement where people are unhinged, where people want to go out and they want to get riled up to the point where they maybe want to physically do harm to people, physically do harm to property. That's not my thing. And I'll reiterate that a lot of these people that get behind these left-wing lunatics, you would think that they are Delta Force, you would think they are French Foreign Legion mercenaries by the way they talk. You would think they have UFC championship belts hanging on their mantle in their house. They talk like they're very, very diverse, very experienced in hand-to-hand combat. They come across as they are weapons experts. They know how to use weapons, and pretty much, you know, you don't want to judge a book by its cover, but you know to a very high certainty that these people have possessed none of those skills whatsoever. And all I'm saying, that the bubble's going to burst soon. And you know, a lot of people have been saying that for a while, but I can see the bubble bursting soon. The rhetoric, the violent and sustained rhetoric surrounding Donald Trump in the U.S., and you got more and more people, like I said, jumping on this bandwagon of wanting violence against him, wanting violence against people in his circle, his MAGA circle. And I've been saying for about 10 years there's going to be a civil war in the United States. I've been saying that for at least 10 years. And I don't think it's ever been closer than it is right now. I don't see any way out of the situation they have down there. Still on topic, but it's a little bit of a jump. Down in, I believe it was Idaho Falls, Idaho. There was a shooter outside of a fast food restaurant with a long gun. By reports, it was an AR-15, and he shot and unalived 3 people and wounded 6 or 7. Then he took his own life, by all accounts. But before that, the suspect was engaged by a citizen and an off-duty Idaho State patrol officer, trooper, whatever. He was a cop, off duty, and they both had firearms on them. Now, Idaho, I'm to understand, is an open carry state. You're allowed to carry a sidearm in the open. So this one guy, he's all over the internet. He is wearing like some sort of cowboy hat type hat, and he has a, I don't know what, it's a bit of an exotic sidearm pistol, and it's suppressed. It has a silencer on it. And he engaged the suspect as a citizen with his own firearm, and by all accounts, he saved many lives. And the off-duty cop engaged him as well. Now, the report saying that the guy with a suppressed handgun, he may or may not have hit the individual, but the individual, regardless, had to focus his attention on the people that were shooting at him, and took his focus off killing innocent civilians. And then the guy with the long gun, the perpetrator, apparently he went into his car and unalived himself because he knew it was over. And now some reports are saying that the guy with the cowboy hat actually hit him with gunfire, and it took him out of the fight. Either way, with the two armed civilians, one off-duty cop, he was essentially a civilian, whatever. They took him out of the fight and distracted him, so it saved people. Now, I've said in my videos before, if I was legally allowed to open carry or conceal carry a firearm in Toronto, I would have one on me right now. I would be legally carrying a pistol on me. Now, a lot of people against firearms will say, well, if everyone has a firearm, it puts the public at risk because the people that have the firearms aren't trained. They don't have the psychological testing, the background that would allow someone to legally and safely carry a firearm, which is nonsense. This guy that did the civilian in Idaho, he has a YouTube channel. I don't know what it is. I think his name, what's his name? I'll put his name up on the screen. So people raise that argument that there'll be a bunch of untrained people out on the street. But this guy in Idaho Falls, he was well trained, very well trained. And he walked around his community dressed like sometimes how I go out on my e-bike. It would outwardly look like that. They got a word for it. It's called LARPing. I just found that word out yesterday, and people used to make fun of him. Well, I can tell you, people aren't making fun of him today, because based on the video, it looked like he knew what he was doing. And I'm not talking his YouTube videos. I'm talking real life. This guy looks like he knew what he was doing, and he did, because he trained for it. So I'd like to believe, and let me just back this up. There are a lot of people in Canada that own these, hand these, and a lot of people in Canada are very proficient with them. And I'm not talking the cops or military. I'm talking citizens that go to ranges and train. There are groups, there are clubs that you can go and train with these firearms. So to put things into perspective, if, just for example, I'm here in the park today on a holiday Monday morning, and a shootout starts across the street. I'm not saying a shootout between two rival faction gangs, because that's what would happen in this neighborhood. It would be gang related shooting. So if I witnessed a gang related shooting across the street, which is probably what would happen, like I said, and I had a legally possessed firearm on my persons anywhere, I carry my phone and my wallet in here and my notepad. But I wouldn't engage that. I wouldn't engage the fight. But if I seen someone with a long gun trying to unalive people at the bus shelter, trying to just shoot randomly into buildings, I would think I'd be the type of person that would engage that person, because if I were to legally possess a hand pistol, I would be proficient with it, because I would train with it, and I would be ready for a situation like that, because that's my mindset. Now, just say this, hypothetically speaking, this person with the long gun across the street starts unaliving people, and there's a bunch of people around, and he has a lot of ammunition on him. Wouldn't you want someone there that is trained with their own firearm to take that person out? Because everyone knows cops aren't always around, and from talking to a lot of people that I know, cops aren't always the most proficient with firearms either. And you can ask that gentleman in Montreal when that female cop put a moonroof in the top of his head. So they're not always going to be the ones that are going to bail you out of the situation. Sometimes you have to think for yourself and defend yourself. Now, in a country like Canada, where Mark Carney and Justin Trudeau brought this country, it's going to a communist country. The only one they want to have firearms are criminals. And like I said in my videos before, the criminals are always going to have firearms. And I'm going to tell you, the law-abiding citizens are always going to have firearms too. I'm telling you that. You know, in a liberal utopian communist world, they would envision teams of armed government employees going door to door and collecting people's firearms. And it may come to that one day, but what's going to happen when that does, if and when that does happen, there's going to be a lot of lost lives, there's going to be a lot of bloodshed, because in history, based on history, whenever that happens, that means that it's going to be a totalitarian regime taking over, like in China, like in Germany, like in the UK. And I'm not saying that the UK is a totalitarian regime, but you know, to have a firearm there, to get or acquire a firearm, it's very, very hard to get a firearm. And a lot of countries like that around the world. Japan, I think, is one of them as well. New Zealand, Australia to a lesser extent, similar to Canada. But you know, back in the day, it wasn't so hard to source a firearm in Canada. It was quite easy. I'm talking legally. If you go, like, you're vetted and you go through the system. If you're a legal gun owner in Canada, your criminal record is checked daily. It goes through CPAC, Central Police Information Center, and it goes to the RCMP. And if you have a serious charge up on your jacket, they could pull your firearms license. So it's not so easy to keep a firearms license in Canada. And now that, and if that's the case, if they do pull your firearm license, yeah, then they can come to your house and they can legally request your guns, to relinquish your guns. And if you're a criminal, well, you lost your rights to own firearms. I understand that. But I'm a proponent for people legally carrying pistols. I really am. And if I were to ever move to the United States, like I said in my videos before, I would move to a state like Idaho, like Alaska, like Florida, Texas, states that, northern Arizona, states that have the network set up to carry a firearm for protection. Now, because you got to understand that the people carrying firearms in Toronto, everyone that's carrying a pistol in Toronto is either a government employee, an armored car guard, or a specialized security person, or a criminal. So people like me can ride their bike past a 12 or 13-year-old Somali kid, and that 12 or 13-year-old Somali kid could have an illegally sourced 9mm on him, and just by looking at me, doesn't like me and wants to unalive me. I'd have no way to defend myself. Now, a 13-year-old kid doesn't have the mental capacity to know the difference between right and wrong. And I would say men that are in their 30s don't know the difference between right and wrong. And that's what you get at these festivals, Celsa St. Clair, where you have people this indiscriminately shooting each other in crowds. And innocent bystanders get hit. It happens all the time. And it is the gang culture, it is the gun culture, and that's the real problem with guns that we have in Canada. We don't have a legally vetted gun problem. Now, after the Celsa on St. Clair shooting, and I didn't get around to mention this in my video, but I am now, Chief Myron Demkew, I've been critical of Demkew many times in my videos, but he came out and he said that, right from his mouth, he said that the legal guns aren't the problem in Canada. It's the illegally sourced guns coming out of the U.S. that are the problem. And then you got Slurmouth Chow mimicking what he said a couple times after that, and that is the true problem. So the communist government that we currently have in the Liberals, Mark Carney, this going around and trying to demonize more legal weapons and to want people to turn them in, which eventually is going to lead to door kicking, in my estimation. And a lot of people that own firearms, you know, they mimic that. They you get some hardcore gun owners that are fortifying, and I don't know them personally. I'm just saying from what I'm hearing. I'm just saying from what the rhetoric is going around. If you try to come and take someone's cache of legally obtained weapons, which are a lot of money, and they put a lot of time and effort into customizing these weapons, and they're collectors, some of them are very beautiful, and you come in and you want to take that away from someone? No, shit's gonna hit the fan then. Shit is gonna hit the fan then. And that's why the Liberals and Mark Carney are destabilizing the country the way they are, with the unsustainable immigration. the unvetted immigration, and forming alliances and allegiances with China. So they can send in, China can send in military operatives. They can send in special weapons collection forces that have no skin in the game in this country, and that's what the Liberals have been doing full force for the last 11 years, is washing out the traditional mindset in this country and replacing it with people that don't have skin in the game here. They don't care. You imagine, okay, you come from another country, you have average to below intelligence, and you are at the top of the list for police selection. Then the police make you, they swear you in as a sworn officer, they give you limited firearms training, they give you firearms, and they unleash you on the public, and you might not even be in the country for 2 years. You might not have any relatives here. So what skin do you have in the Canadian game? You don't. You're going to do as you're told, because you get a decent salary, you get the promise of a decent pension, a very good pension, and you get a lot of perks as a cop. And jobs are hard to come by in this country now. Now, this person that came from another country, it was either a job at Tim Hortons or a cop or some sort of government job. That's what I'm getting at here. That's why the government is making more and more jobs, because they make you reliant on the government. Now, if you're reliant on the government, you'll do anything the government says. You'll go kick doors down with your brand new sidearm they give you at the police college. You'll go line up for 10 booster shots, COVID booster shots, because you don't want to lose your job. You'll do anything the government says. And that's what they're doing. They want to eliminate people with my mindset. And they are doing a very good job of it. Just want to finish up by touching on my bike ride to Drake's house the other day. I got some feedback, and upon further reflection, when I was in those dirt trails, I could have accessed a trail app. I could have accessed the topographical maps on my Garmin watch. I could have figured out possibly a backdoor way into the bridle path area. Now, when I did download my Garmin Track Me, which tracks my movement on a map, it would appear that the Google Maps was directing me in the right place. I could have went down that one more valley, and I could have came out through a trailhead that would lead right into the bridle path. If I ever do that again, that's what I'll do. And I don't think I will do that again, but if I'm ever out in that area again, I will take that dirt. I'll take the exact same dirt trail off Bayview. I'll go through, and I'll come through the back end, through the valley, into the bridle path area. Like I said, reflecting back on the ride, I can see on the map that I was very close. I didn't have to go all the way through Sunnybrook Hospital and all the way out again. But I was under no time constraints. I was not in an SHTF situation. I didn't care. It was an inconvenience. The only thing I was worried about was the hydro, using the battery power going up and down hills. If the bike gets damaged, for the most part, I can fix it right then and there, unless it's something catastrophic, the motor goes or whatever, electronics go, that would be different. But I carry extra spokes with me, I carry rim tools, I carry all those things, so I'm not worried about anything structurally on the bike that I can't fix. So it was, I got some good feedback on the video. It was an enjoyable video. I like the trails, and that's it. So put in the comment section, let me know the escalated rhetoric that you are seeing or may not be seeing. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing people are getting very hostile on the left, not on the right. Right away, they're telling the left-wing media, saying that the shooter in Idaho Falls was a MAGA supporter. I'm hearing that he wasn't. I'm hearing he was a Democrat. He was there to shoot up MAGA supporters. So regardless, it doesn't matter if you're a MAGA supporter. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Asian, brown. It doesn't matter. Our current governments are getting us all at each other's throats, and they are making us increasingly more hostile. And that's exactly what they want. It's too bad that we couldn't all come together and direct our collective minds towards our politicians and figure out why they are putting us in this situation. Anyhow, put in the comment section you got anything to add. Thanks for watching. Bye.